Hey, everybody, it's Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Sorry for the somber mood, for the funeral close. I think we might have to bury a team today, maybe bury a season. Can Carson Wentz get it done? Is Kirk Cousins the answer? Does the NFL need to put more quarterbacks on the NFL rosters? We'll talk about all that and much more coming up next on the Ron Johnson Show.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. Now the Ron Johnson Show. On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. He's played with them, hung out with them, and grown up with all the big names in Minnesota sports. They're hanging out with Ron Johnson. It's the Ron Johnson Show on the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. And it starts now.
Hey, everybody, this is Ron Johnson, and this is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. I'm your host. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. It's a beautiful Tuesday out there, people. Beautiful Tuesday. Vikings have the day off. So today is a day of rest, recovery, reflection, and Robert Smith. We got Robert Smith joining us in the Hanging Ron Johnson segment. All the R's, Ron, Robert, rest, reflection, revision. Can the Vikings rewrite history? Is this a Case Keenum type of year? Let's not forget what Case Keenum did as the backup. But people, we have to bury a little bit of the season. We have to bury a little bit of the hopes of the season, a little bit of what you thought would happen. And we'll do all that and much more coming up. But before I get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $5. And if your first $5 bet wins, you'll get $300. So let me let you know that now. New customers, you just got to bet $5. $5 bets. That's all you got to do is bet $5. And if it wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. And you can use it across the entire app. Well, as I talked about in the show, we got the Hanging Ron Johnson segment coming up. We got the Daily 3 coming up as I bring my producer Sam Ekstrom into the show. I want everybody to know, make sure you check out all of our shows. Monday through Thursday, we got a lot of content, post-game shows, post-cast after every Vikings game as well. We break down the outcome. Now, this is a Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz. I don't think anybody had that in their bingo card for this game. This game was supposed to be the game. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, LSU. You got J.J. McCarthy from Michigan. Hail to the victor. I don't even know how they do theirs. All that. None of that, though. None of that is going to happen. You will have Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, so you'll get the gritty, maybe, if somebody touches the end zone. But Jake Browning and Carson Wentz, I did not have that on my bingo card for week 3 of the NFL season. Noon kickoff at US Bank Stadium. Looking forward to doing the pregame show. But Sam, I don't know if we have the funeral music, but Sam.
Let me look. He's got the funeral garb on for all the listeners.
For those, if you're just listening on the app, thank you guys for continuing to listen, download. But you're missing out if you're not checking us out on YouTube. And here's where I go with this. He was young, very young, didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve the blitz off the end. Just a DN, though. Wasn't a blitz. Was it a missed pickup? Was it a misassignment? Was the mic identified incorrectly? All of that left him wide open for a potential head rattling, ankle breaking, finger dislocating hit. We saw Anthony Richardson take a similar hit. Did the center not turn the right way? Did the guard actually need help? What was the tackle doing in that moment? With all that said, J.J. McCarthy, they said the injury came up on a scramble. I think it came up on that hit, people. But you know what? Forget that. We got Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is going to throw absolute dots. He's not the runner he used to be, though. It's not the RPO Carson Wentz we remember from the days of the Eagles. But this is the one thing we can bury, Sam. We can bury comeback player of the year. Just come back. Like, forget comeback player of the year. Just come back. Please just come back, JJ.
After the bye, after they get back from Europe. Just come back.
Because 2 to 4 weeks now, I mean, he's not going to go to Europe. I mean, maybe he'll still go, but he's got a newborn. I've seen all the things. People are like, oh, he's just not good. So people are like, let's just put him down anyway. Let him get a little bit more time. Some people are saying this is a fake injury to spend more time with his newborn, get that first couple of paternity weeks for a father. Well, people, I love the jokes, but no, this is not one of those things. But I don't see a reason to travel, to be honest, unless he just really wants to be around the team and he wants to show that he's a leader and a captain. If the ankle is truly swollen and high ankle, getting on a plane for multiple hours, I mean, now there will be great trainers out there and all that stuff to help. It probably doesn't help when you have an injury like that to keep the swelling out of the ankle and getting them back in 4 weeks. But high ankle sprain, that leads me to believe that any type of wrong turns, he's back in 4 weeks, let's say 3 weeks after the bye. Any type of turn, any type of hit, any type of getting rolled up on, it's going to re-injure it. Like, that's one of those things where it's going to take a full season. Like, we're going to see him taped up. We're going to see him limping around a little bit. It's going to take the whole season. And so you can kind of bury the comeback player of the year thought process in this. But you know what? I'm not doing the funeral. I'm not, because up top, buttoned ups, tie, that's funeral. Opened up, it's like a Saturday night. And we got the real Carson Wentz in the building. People talked about it. Now, Sam, I pose you a question though. When it happened, were you thinking like potentially trade for Kirk Cousins? Did that ever cross your mind? That hit me this morning. I saw a picture of Julie and Kirk Cousins at US Bank Stadium. They posted just saying so many memories. Why stop the memories now? Why not make more memories? Like, would Kirk Cousins have loved to have been the backup for J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix? Because Michael Penix looks really good, and I don't think you're ever getting back on the field out there unless he gets hurt. But J.J. McCarthy didn't look as good in the last 2 weeks. Would Kirk Cousins have been the guy to kind of keep him mentally like, somebody's coming, somebody's closer than you? Like, I don't know. That's what I thought about. I don't know. Did you ever think about that?
Well, what's funny is on yesterday's squad show, before we heard the McCarthy news, we knew about Burrow. And we thought, well, hold on. Oh. Are the Bengals going to bring in Kirk to play the Vikings on Sunday with Burrow out 3 months? But here's what I tweeted yesterday, Ron. Here's my comparison. J.J. McCarthy is Trey Lance. Top 10 pick, missed his first year with injury, took over the job, got hurt. Max Brosmer is Brock Purdy. He's just waiting. He's just waiting in the wings to take over. And that makes Carson Wentz Jimmy Garoppolo. So he's going to come in, and Brosmer's going to be the backup. And all the best Viking seasons, Ron, have been the result of a quarterback injury. I'm just saying. Brad Johnson to Cunningham, Bradford to Keenum. We've had a lot of that. McCarthy to Darnold, you could even say, last year. So I'm still holding out hope that there could be some magic left in the Vikings, karmic reserve.
And not to be confused with Sam Darnold, not Sam Darnold, but you said Jimmy Garoppolo. Carson Wentz, not to be confused with the Jimmy Garoppolo that Diana Rossini would never want her sister to date. Not the same two guys. Different guys, different thought process of why Jimmy Garoppolo is not his looks. It's not his woman type of allure. It's just the fact that he's the quarterback that's just here as a veteran and potentially might win a couple games, potentially might throw 4 picks. We don't know. Like, we really don't know what Carson Wentz is going to do. We do know that at one point in his career, he had a quick trigger. He had a quick mind. He was able to decipher that RPO very fast, which for people that don't know, run pass option and read option are 2 different things. So do not get those confused. J.J. McCarthy's touchdown against the Bears was a read option. There was no pass in that. RPO means I can run the ball with the running back, I can keep it and run it myself, or I can quickly throw it out. The offensive line does different things in those situations. The read option, they're just blocking forward because they know there's no potential pass and they can be down the field. Run pass option, they're trying not to be down the field because they think like he might throw this ball. And that's the one thing the NFL hates is the RPO, is because some of the guards tend to release a little too soon, and the quarterback ends up throwing it. But Carson Wentz was able to decipher that with the Eagles for, I don't really remember, was it 11 weeks, 12 weeks before he got hurt? He basically got them to the number 1 seed and all that, or whatever, the top playoff contention. And, Nick Foles just ended up getting the flowers and winning the Super Bowl. But Carson Wentz was the quarterback that year. Now, does Carson Wentz win a Super Bowl with the Eagles over Tom Brady? I don't know. I mean, that's always going to be a question mark. I mean, I think that's always, that's probably something for the rest of his life. You know, when he's telling stories, when he's speaking at engagements, whatever he does, he's going to talk about that. But maybe the story's not over. Maybe the story's not over. Here's where I go with this, Sam. What if Carson Wentz comes in and has a Sam Darnold electric start? He's not Josh Dobbs. He can stay in the pocket. He wants to stay in the pocket. He has a big arm. What if Carson Wentz these next 4 weeks looks absolutely Pro Bowl worthy? 250, 290, 350-yard games. You got the Browns. You got the Steelers, which is a dangerous defense. But you got the Bengals and the Browns coming up. Could Carson Wentz do it? If he does, Sam, here's the thing. Say he throws for 290, 300 multiple games. Mm-hmm. Do you just give it back over to J.J. McCarthy?
This is the impossible question. I don't know how the Vikings keep finding themselves in these type of quandaries at quarterback. But if Carson Wentz is 4-1 through the Europe swing at the bye, with the Eagles coming up next, his former team, is that where you want to put J.J. McCarthy back in? They have put all their eggs in the J.J. McCarthy basket. But I think it would be hard to just give him the keys back. You don't want to shatter this kid. You don't want to give up on this kid so early, age 22, injured in his second game of the season. You can't give up on him, but you're also in win now mode with this roster. And Carson Wentz has a lot of traits that Kevin O'Connell likes. Big arm. He is not turnover prone, doesn't throw a lot of interceptions, doesn't take a lot of sacks, does fumble a little bit. Fumbling's been a problem. But there's a lot there in his resume that could really fit with the Kevin O'Connell offense. And he's got, Ron, a stronger resume coming in here than Sam Darnold did, without question.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's not even close. Been a while since he played, right, at a high level, like 3-4 years since he was a starting quarterback. But it is very possible that he has a renaissance here in these next 3 weeks. And you can get all three of these games, don't you think, Ron? Bengals without Burrow, and then Browns, of course, and Steelers. That's probably the toughest game of the three.
Correct.
You could be 4-1 at the bye with Wentz.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't remember what I did on Vikings Game Day Live. I think I said 2. I think I said 3-2 heading into the bye because I had them losing to the Bengals or maybe I did say 4-1. I might have said 4-1 coming out of the bye. Because it's on Vikings.com, people, by the way. I do it every year for the Minnesota Vikings on Vikings.com. And I think I either said 3-2 or 4-1. So they're still on pace. I just didn't have them losing to the Falcons. I had them losing to the Bengals. But now you're right. It flips. Like it could be, this could be a win because Jake Browning is not Joe Burrow. But he did still go out there and beat the Jags. Like when I heard Joe Burrow got hurt, because I had picked the Bengals this last week, and I was a little bit nervous in that pick. My wife does picks at her school just for fun. Like her and some teachers do it, and she doesn't know what that's why they do it, because a lot of them don't know what they're doing. Some of them don't. They just do it to interact with other teachers and have fun. And she's the dean. So, of course, if you're the dean of the students, you kind of want to make sure you're interacting with the teachers. So this is one of the ways she does it. And so 1 week she won. And, of course, I got a text from the basketball coach, and he's like, "You definitely helped her with those picks, didn't you?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "She picked them all by herself." And my daughter, actually, it's funny. My 14-year-old daughter watches football too, so she helps her out too. Like she's like, "No, mom. Like that's the quarterback from like." I'm so surprised at my 14-year-old how much she knows. Like I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up on an NFL sideline because she does love football, but she also knows it. Like she talks about it. She asks me a ton of questions. And here's the funny thing too, Sammy. You know this. When you're watching sports and your wife asks you a lot of questions, sometimes you feel like, did you really just ask me that? But with my daughter, I can't do that. Like even sometimes I'm like, why is she asking so many questions? But then I'm realizing like, you know what? She just wants to know. Like she just wants, because she's like, "Dad, wasn't he the backup for this team? And he's not that good, is he? Like, why is he in the game?" So she'll ask those questions. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, he's not that good. Like, why would you ask me that? But then I'm like, she really doesn't know. She's just asking me. And so when I think about what Carson Wentz can bring, like I looked at that pick and I picked the Bengals. and they end up winning. Now, does that mean the Jags are just that bad? Like, that's the other question mark there. Like, is Travis Hunter and this Trevor Lawrence thing not really going to work out the way Colin thought it would? But I also think that Jake Browning, Brian Flores, the main reason, so the Bears week, Flores was fine, did a decent job. This past week, couldn't stop the run. Couldn't stop a nosebleed, but couldn't stop the run. Bijan Robinson's second highest output of his career, 143 yards. Next highest was 170. He had his second highest output of his career on Sunday Night Football. And then the week before that had 100 yards receiving. So he's really just telling y'all, like, look, if whatever you try to take away, I'm going to do something else. Take my run away, I'm going to pass. Take my pass away, I'm going to run. Scary. And Penix is at the helm. Like, I didn't give him enough credit heading into this. Kid's good. I'm no longer hating on Michael Penix. The kid's good. Like, I am 100% rooting for the Falcons and Michael Penix because they are good. I mean, sorry, Kirk Cousins, but Michael Penix is good. Boy gets his ball out of his hands quick. But it also helps when you have Bijan Robinson. Let's be real. When you can run the ball like that on any team, you don't have to throw the ball as much. You don't have to put the ball in harm's way. And I think that's what the Falcons didn't want to do against Brian Flores' defense. Harrison Smith being out, is that still a problem for this defense? Van Ginkel being out, Blake Cashman being out. Like, I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's a lot of injuries, a lot of guys coming up lame. I just look at this matchup where Carson Wentz could be a hero. He could be. Carson Wentz could be the hero for Minnesota football for the next 3 weeks. And then are the fans like, and here's the thing, Sam. So perfect situation. You're Kwesi or you're Kevin. It's not Kwesi because Kevin's on the field for this. Vikings beat the Bengals. Vikings somehow, because internationally they tend to do well. Somehow, and I will say the Flores defense versus Aaron Rodgers tends to do well because Aaron Rodgers is a risk taker. And so he's willing to throw some picks here and there. But they're also without Cam Bynum. Cam Bynum has 2 picks in 2 weeks. Did you see that?
Two good celebrations, too.
2 good celebrations. 2 picks in 2 weeks. Oh, because he did the thing with the Colts guy, right? But the stomach thing.
Yeah, the football in the belly.
And then he did the backslide. Yeah. 2 weeks, 2 picks. I see why they paid him. I kind of wish he was still here. Because
2 wins for the Colts, too.
2 wins for the Colts, but he's good. And without Harrison Smith now, you're like, dang, I wish we had Cam Bynum back there. Because Cam Bynum is legit. He is the guy. He should have been the future of the safeties here. But it is what it is. They try to go one more run with Harrison Smith. And here we are. Browns, though, definitely can get that win. They don't know who their quarterback is. Flacco got benched. Dylan Gabriel came in. He didn't look good. So if he wins that, and you're right, going up against the Eagles next, do you put Carson Wentz in versus the Eagles? Or do you go back to your guy, J.J. McCarthy, at home in front of the fans at noon and subject him to Jalen Carter in that Eagles defense? Like, what do you do? Because you're subjecting your rookie now to a ridiculous defense, you know, Cooper DeJean. And I mean, did you see the way they manhandled the Chiefs? They manhandled the Chiefs offensive line and their receivers. They had Patrick Mahomes second guessing what he should do. So do you subject J.J. McCarthy to that, or do you just say, because I have this as a loss. I had this as a loss against the Eagles. I hate to say it. Or do you just say, all right, Carson Wentz, get us one more, and then we'll go play the Chargers in L.A. with J.J. McCarthy, like against his own, and then he's going against his old coach though. Like you're sending J.J. McCarthy out to see his old coach. Like, does Harbaugh know everything about J.J. I mean, it's just, and then you got the Lions. You got to go to Detroit, and they look really good. They big brothered the Bears. Dan Campbell big brothered Ben Johnson. Like, hey, you got a new job. I'm still your big brother. Come over here. He gave him a noogie sandwich. Put him in a headlock and noogie. Like, he just 52. Had the reporters asking him, like, did you feel like he ran the score up on you when he went for the touchdown on 4th and goal, you know, and he's already up? Wait, he did what he's supposed to do. No, it's not what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to kick the field goal. There was no reason at that point to go for it on 4th down. He just wanted to stick it to you, and he did it. He did it. And because people were questioning the week before against the Packers. So I think he was also trying to exercise that demon and say, I'm still who I am. I'm still Dan Campbell. I'm still biting kneecaps. Let me show you. Give me that knee. And he just spanked him on the way out the door. So With all that said, Sam, what would you play? Like, do you just give Carson Wentz his 3 weeks, bye week, and then you bring J.J. McCarthy back against the best, one of the best defenses in the NFL, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, I think you have to give J.J. one more chance. I mean, I think you have to abide by all the decision making you made led to this kid being your quarterback. So are you gonna give up on it because of one major clunker? You can't. You got to have more patience than that. So I mean, the only condition would be is if Carson Wentz dominates these next 3 games, executes the offense in a way that J.J. McCarthy, simply can't. And if they internally believe that this is the better chance for them to win a Super Bowl this year, they may have to ride that. But I think that 98% chance they're going to give J.J. McCarthy another shot to take this team over when he gets back. And I would suspect it probably comes against the Eagles after the bye week to give him extra time with that ankle. I don't think they're going to rush the kid. They typically don't rush these type of injuries with important players. That's a tough environment. But Ron, you might also have the healthiest offensive line you've had all year at that point, because you have Darisaw. Presumably you would get Kelly back by that point as well. So you might have all 5 fresh.
Yeah, and I think that's the key too. Having the full offensive line, having the full you get Jordan Addison back, so you have the full bevy of weapons as well. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hockenson, Adam Thielen, Jalen Naylor. Like you have you have Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. Like you got a bunch of weapons. Do you have enough bullets? Do you have enough ammo? Do you have enough footballs? Like you don't have enough plays. 46 plays is not enough for that many weapons. 46 plays is not enough for that many weapons. Can you find more plays? Can you stay on the field longer? Can you matriculate down the field and not go 3 and out? Like this 3 and out bit is getting annoying. But you know what? We're going to talk about how to matriculate down the field with Robert Smith, Vikings running back, one of the best running backs in Vikings history, was one of the best offenses in Vikings history. We got that coming up, and then we got the day 3. But after a quick word from our sponsors.
We're brought to you today by FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet 5, get 300 right now if that $5 bet wins. It's one of the best promotions that you can find. It's football season, and that Vikings-Bengals game has had some very interesting line movement because the first news was Burrow's out. I think the Vikings are favored by 5.5. Then McCarthy's out. It came down to 2.5. But I think that still could move around because now it's a battle between Browning and Wentz, and who do you like? The Bengals are 2-0. The Vikings are 1-1. The Vikings are favored at home. They're trying to get to 2-1 with Carson Wentz. You can bet that. You can bet the props. You can bet live. You can put together a parlay or a same game parlay. You can try to capitalize on, hey, who's the best 2-0 team right now? I'm going to bet them to win the Super Bowl. Try to get some good odds on that. All available at FanDuel, FanDuel.com, and the FanDuel Sportsbook app. New customers bet 5, get 300. When that $5 bet wins, FanDuel, make every moment more.
Well, now it's time for the Hanging Ron Johnson segment. And one of the best running backs in college football history, Vikings history, one of the most athletic dual threat backs, and no better guy than to talk about Bijan Robinson with, which is one of the most dual threat backs I've seen, and a guy that was prolific in the passing game for the Minnesota Vikings. First off, Rob, man, appreciate you for joining me on the show, but I saw you at the game. We were chatting a little bit. Jared Allen was over there with the gold jacket on and so on and so forth, but just hanging out in the background.
The gigantic gold jacket, man, he's big.
He's huge. But when you think about Bijan Robinson, week 1, 100 yards receiving, 24 yards rushing. Brian Flores comes into this game with the same mindset that I have. We got to stop Bijan Robinson in the pass. We got to stop. We got to locate when he's split out wide. We got to locate when he motions, and he's running that crossing route to become like a screen almost backside. They ran the ball. Like the Buccaneers game, first 3 to 4 plays were passes. Vikings game, first 6 plays were runs. And so I don't know if the coach just saw it on film and said, they can't stop the run. But when you see Bijan Robinson, man, 1 week 100 yards rushing or receiving, next week 143 yards rushing, man, how good can he really be?
I think he can be the best. I mean, you look at guys like Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, maybe to a lesser extent, because as great and talented as he is, I don't know that he has like the route running ability, like everything in the route tree that those guys have. And Bijan's like that guy too. Like he can literally run any route in the route tree, and it just makes it so difficult to defend. And his ability to make people miss in short spaces, his ability to get his feet up and down quickly and to make extra cuts to make guys miss without obsessing over it or doing it too much is it's stunning to me. He's a lot of fun to watch. I think you're absolutely right, though. I think they felt that, Brian Flores, based on what he saw in week 1, came up with a plan that had them much more vertical along the defensive line, kind of shooting gaps as opposed to occupying gaps. And the Falcons took advantage of it. They gashed them early.
And when you look at your career, 6,800 rushing yards, but you were not just a runner. Like you also were involved in the passing game. When you think about, various seasons, 100 yards here, 200 yards here and there, but the biggest is like 28 catches, 38 catches. Like you were all over the field helping your team out wherever possible. But when you see today's offense, a running back actually just lining up, going 21 personnel and not fullback, running back, and running back. One running back outside as a wide receiver, one running back in the backfield. Like, do you look back and say, man, I didn't even think about that we could have done something like that?
Well, honestly, like I wouldn't say, man, I wish we had done that. I wish I had prepared myself more for that. And, hindsight's 2020. Mm-hmm. And like, it's funny when I think about, I've been around the game so long now in media, and I've learned so much more about different philosophies and how you teach players to do certain things. I could have made myself a much better player. There's no two ways about it. I would have worked more on lateral movement, the mechanics of it, as opposed to just thinking of it as a concept. Because it's one thing to say, hey, you want to make more people miss, but how do you train your body to do that? You want to be involved in the passing game, but what areas of the passing game are you going to focus on? So how do you use your time in practice to prepare yourself for what you want to be on the field? And it's funny, like, I don't say that like arrogantly or, as a knock against my coaches, but if I was coaching me, I would have made me a much better player.
Nobody's ever said it better. I like that. Because, honestly, I look at like Marshall Faulk, and you look at some of those offenses, the greatest show on turf with the Rams. Like when you go down the list of all these offenses that eventually started doing that, putting running backs just in the slot and saying, hey, who's guarding this guy? Okay, they got a linebacker on them. Let's go deep. Who's guarding them now? Okay, they got a DB. Let's run a screen with our running back. And that's what you see the Falcons doing. The Falcons are basically just lining up in 21, knowing you're going to go base package. And then they're like, okay, how do you want to defend us? If you're going to try to stop us in the pass game, we're going to run the ball. And the Vikings having 3 safeties on the field. And like you said, that 3-4 defense where the center's uncovered, I think they figured it out. They're like, look, just double team this guy and then let's run out the back way. Double team this guy, run the other way. And the Vikings never, I don't know. I'm not a defensive coordinator. Yeah. But I do know if you go hat for hat, so if you switch it up and put the 2 linebackers on the line and make it more like a bear front and go like a 5-man front, then maybe you slow it down a little bit. But I think the third safety has to become a linebacker. Josh Metellus should have maybe just been at linebacker level and made it look like a 4-3, 5-3 type of front and say, beat us with your arm. Can you beat us with your arm with your receivers? Because Drake London last week had 15 targets, but only like 7 catches. You know what I mean? Like I just don't feel like he has a true feel for the deep throws and the true deep throws, but he has a great feel for the underneath stuff. And that's where, he killed the Vikings. But if you're Aaron Jones, 5 carries, 1 target, no catch, and you're supposed to be the starting running back for the Minnesota Vikings, and you lose the way you lose, could not move the ball, what are you saying to your offensive coordinator this week?
Well, it's kind of a loaded question. Because there's just, and the reason I'm not,
and it was only 14 runs total though, because like the other Mason only had 9. Jordan Mason 9 carries, Aaron Jones 5 carries. Like if you're both backs, what are you telling your offensive coordinator?
Yeah, well, like you said, you're not a defensive coordinator. I'm not an offensive coordinator, so it's one thing. Like everybody wants the ball, right? But play calling is really about focusing on and accentuating what you do well, but it's also covering up some deficiencies that you know that you have. And trying to do that in real time, right? So you're thinking about matchups that particular week. You're thinking about how your guys are looking early in a game against certain looks and against certain players. So, yeah, obviously you say, look, I want the ball more. But the reality of it is you also understand, I think, especially, with Aaron and Jordan, they understand some of the limitations that they have from a personnel standpoint up front, and the timing of the runs may just not have been there.
Yeah, and that's the thing about J.J. McCarthy now. He's out. Carson Wentz coming in as a backup. We've seen this story before with Case Keenum. I think Randall Cunningham came in due to injury or something like that. I can't remember which quarterback it was.
Brad Johnson, I was a part of that team.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So when that happens, when you have a change, a quick change, an unexpected change at quarterback, how as a weapon in this offense do you try to make sure Carson Wentz walks in? Like if you're Justin Jefferson, if you're Jordan Addison, if you're Adam Thielen, if you're TJ Hawkinson. I mean, the funny thing is when you name these guys, they're all Pro Bowlers. You got Aaron Jones, you got Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
But how do you, come in saying, hey, we got this? Like it's not the season's not over, because a lot of people, if you look at Twitter, which is the worst place to look when stuff like this happens, everybody's saying the season is over, bury the season. I started the show off. I changed clothes, but I started the show off in an all black suit. I had the sunglasses on. We had the slow
like
music.
An Undertaker.
Yeah, we had the slow music playing. So and the only thing I buried the comeback player of the year talk. I think that's out the door now. That's going to be tough for J.J. McCarthy to even win comeback player of the year, being out 4 to 5 weeks. But I think just coming back and playing good football still is an option. But what would you go into the building, because today is a day off, but some guys are in there getting treatment. They're doing their stuff, getting their little film, picking up their iPad, all the stuff. But then Wednesday, like what are you, or even text messaging, what are you telling Carson Wentz right now?
Yeah, and I don't really even think Carson Wentz is probably telling those guys as much as anything, right?
Okay.
He's been around this league a long time. I called some NFL games a few years ago. I think we called the games when he was with the Commanders. So he's seen the ups and the downs, which I think is really important as a quarterback. The most important play is always the next one. And, we talk about next guy up mentality, but a quarterback like that, a backup guy, a guy that's been shuffled around the league, understands that more than anybody. And so when, he doesn't need to hear it from the players need to hear it from him. A quarterback needs to go in and command the huddle and tell everybody, hey, I don't want to see any pouting. I don't want to see any heads down. Yeah, I know you want the damn ball. I'll get you the ball when it makes sense to get you the ball, right? Like it's not the other way around for me. I think Carson Wentz needs to be the guy that tells them, but more importantly, shows them, of course, the season isn't over. Everything that you thought this team could be and everything that we can be, and with the reality of some of the injuries that we have, we're going to go do it.
And when you look at, you talked about the Brad Johnson deal, 97 and 98. Walk us through that. He gets hurt. Like, how do you guys handle that situation and the new quarterback coming in?
Yeah, I mean, to us, it's part of the game. And you know what it's like with backup quarterbacks. I mean, they're around all the time and, you're joking around. And look, they're getting plenty of reps. You always got to be ready for that. So to us, we had a team with some veteran leadership. I mean, Chris Carter was there, Jake Reed was there, obviously Randall McDaniel along the offensive line. Stussy had been around for a couple of years, myself, just on the offense, right? Like, so we had guys that we just knew that we had talent. We had a great offensive coordinator in Brian Billick. We weren't really worried about it. You just what can you ever do as a player, but go out and play.
Right. Yeah, and again, Randall Cunningham wasn't like a newbie to football. Like he knew what he was doing. He knew he came in for 6 games, and everybody knew what they were getting out of him. But then 98, you guys go out and make one of the, I guess, best draft picks ever in Vikings history, and you guys have just weapon after weapon after weapon. Probably the greatest show on turf before the greatest show on turf. When that happens, is that like because again, Jordan Addison will become kind of the insertion into this offense in week 4. Is that what Randy Moss was to you guys? Was kind of like a boost, because you guys went 9-7 in 97, which is weird for those that like numbers. Go play that in the lotto. But at 9-7 in 97, and then 98, that was my freshman year at the University of Minnesota. So it was exciting to be in Minneapolis. Like I was a college freshman playing football, but every week we're turning on the TV and we're like, man, this dude is nice. Like who is this guy? And so you guys just went, because I knew Tony Dungy, so I knew about the Vikings. I met some of you guys just being out, in town, and it was kind of cool to see. But it was just, it was like the Beatles for football fans like myself growing up, being a college kid. I mean, seriously, that offense was just prolific. I got a chance to, because of my dad playing, for the Steelers, he got to come to town. He would introduce me to guys like Chris Carter, and, I got to hear stories, but it was just different. And is that something that Jordan Addison can do for the Vikings, kind of being just another piece to help? Because I guess Justin Jefferson would be Randy Moss, but then Chris Carter was a huge part of that. And so can Jordan Addison be that additional piece to help Carson Wentz, kind of win these next 2 games overseas? Plus, the Bengals too, but he won't have him for that.
And is Naylor healthy too? He didn't get knocked out?
No, Naylor will be there. Adam Thielen will be there. Hawkinson's healthy. Aaron Jones and Mason.
There's plenty of talent there, and I would honestly, to me, just kind of having been around the game, tell me what's going to happen up front, because that was the real problem. And that's been the real problem this season. I know that you have some new faces, at left guard, at right guard, and of course with Darisaw being out, and even at center. I mean, it's really a rebuilt offensive line. If those guys can't get it done, then it doesn't really matter what kind of shiny toys you have on the outside or in your backfield. That's the one element of football that has always stayed consistent. If you can't get it done at the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively, then you're not going to win games.
And when you look at, again, the amount of stuff you're saying with the offensive line, Christian Darisaw, knee injury, he said he's mentally ready. He said he's physically ready. They just haven't cleared him yet. Do you think that that's just all like media speak? Because I know when you hurt your knee, it's 100% mental. Like if they're saying you're good physically and you've played in games and you've practiced to teams, sometimes it's like, I don't know if I can I trust myself to move the way I'm supposed to move so I don't get my quarterback killed. And also I don't, hurt my team. People forget the mental part of it. Harrison Smith, all this stuff. There is a mental part of this game that you're going out there putting your life on the line every time. Brad Johnson with the neck injury. You're putting your life on the line every time you step on that field. Do you think that's part of this for Christian Darisaw too, though? Because the trainers and everybody's saying mentally and physically he's there. We just got to figure out a timeline. Again, he did get hurt like week 8 or 9, so he's way ahead of schedule compared to like everybody saying 12 months. But do you think that's part of it too, is just like getting over that mental hurdle of saying, yep, I'm cleared, I'm ready to go?
Sorry, it froze a little bit there.
Sorry, back to it. So I was saying the mental hurdle of Christian Darisaw. They're saying he's mentally and physically ready to go. He's cleared, but he hasn't played yet because they're just like, it's just not there yet. But he's played in full team practices versus the Patriots. Definitely different though. There was no actual tackle into the ground. But went out there some preseason stuff, warmed up before this first game, but just not there. So do you think that's a little bit of mental, or do you think that's just 100% precautionary because he's way ahead of schedule?
Yeah, it's and it's funny. I was talking about this yesterday. I remember watching him warm up in the first game and just seeing the close up of the way that he was doing his high knees. He looked tentative. Now, tentative can be mental, partially mental, but you have to understand the way that our bodies work and the way that your body will protect itself, even subconsciously. like when it's not 100%, a lot of times when you're going to take steps, it'll just shut down, or it'll kind of send the message, if you will, to not make that a full speed or a full weight step. And that's what it looked like to me. And quite frankly, he didn't look that close to me. I just, as a non-medical professional, but someone that's been around the game, it looked like he was at least a couple of weeks away from doing it without thinking about it. Mm-hmm. And you're right. That's the mental part. If you're thinking about it, then you're not ready. That's just the way that it is. I remember coming back from an ACL. I tore my ACL December 5th of 93, and then had training camp in the summer of 94, and going into my first one-on-one pass blocking drill against the linebackers. Mm-hmm. And the grass was a little wet and my knee slipped out, and I was thinking, oh man. And then I got up and I was like, oh, I'm fine. Like this thing, it's fine. And that was the moment. Like from there, it was like, hey, I'm good. But you only reach that point when you reach that point, and it's different for everybody.
So Robert, like any football coach, I say one more, and I just realized I got two more for you. So you got to get back on the line and do it again. No, but before we get out of here, one question I did want to ask you is, we all saw the Randy Moss news. He's cancer free. We kind of knew that, when it first came out, and you just never know. And so for men, a lot of men, especially black men, don't think about small things like physicals and all that stuff growing up. I know I'm victim to that. I have not probably done what I should be doing. My wife right away, like I think a couple of weeks ago, she was like, you need to get a physical. And so I reached out to actually the Vikings, one of the Vikings doctors, Dr. Dave Olson, so he and I have talked, and I'm like, yep, let me know. Let's get set up so I can get a full physical work done. But when you heard the news that he was cancer free, what did that mean to you? And is there anything like else that you would love to tell other men?
Yeah, no question about it. Well, this is what my company Fan Huddle is about, really. And we did a partnership with the Vikings and the Browns. And really, we use current and former athletes to create health and well-being content, everything from Pilates to relationship health. And I think screenings are really an important part of that, and you mentioned, especially with black men after age 40, you really want to get the colonoscopy, and you want to stay on top of, some of those values that, they're looking at to see if you have, prostate cancer, or if there should be further screening for that. But your blood pressure, I think, there are a number of different screenings now that are available. Some really cool stuff on the technology side. There's a company that we're working with, actually clinical grade cardiac assessment, just using the microphone of your phone can identify murmurs, irregular rhythms, aortic stenosis, which is a narrowing of a major artery in your heart. And, unfortunately, my brother passed away at age 48 from a heart condition that had been previously undiagnosed. So I know it's very important and something to stay on top of. And, the mental, I don't want to get too far off into the weeds, but I think the mental health part of it is more important than anything else, because if you're not taking care of the mental health part of it, then you're, far less likely or probably not going to focus on any of the other stuff at all. And for me, mental health, is really grounded in humility and, trying to treat everybody the same. But that self-talk and staying away from the negativity. I mean, there's plenty of negativity. You can choose to jump in that pool if you wish. Yeah. Or you can just laugh at it and say life's too damn short to be focusing on negative things.
Yeah, man, that's a word for me. I'm definitely, because I'm in the thick of kids' sports, and there's nothing more negative than kids' sports sometimes. And it's a crazy world out there, because my daughter's one of the top, 2029s in softball right now, and so just traveling, to all the places. She just came back from Chicago. She's got to go back out to Indiana, then Illinois, then Colorado, and so. Yeah, it's a lot of negativity around kids sports too. And so, but one last one, man, like thinking about Brad Johnson and Randall Cunningham, this hit me. Do you think the Vikings are going to have a problem if Carson Wentz goes out here and throws, 200-300-yard games or something, within the next 3 weeks? Do you think there's going to be a quarterback controversy, or do you think they're just going to turn the reins back over to J.J. McCarthy?
That's actually a great question, and I don't mean to make it sound like you wouldn't ask a great question, but I doubt it. You always have to think about it, because I think, going back to that example, like people weren't expecting Randall Cunningham to play the way that he did.
Right.
And it didn't really seem to make sense to turn it back over at that point. As much as we love Brad, like, I don't know how you can really. But I just think that because of the organization's long-term goals, really the mental makeup and fortitude of J.J. McCarthy, you wouldn't want to damage that in any way, I think. And, that could be devastating, especially for a young quarterback that had been out of the game already for a year with an injury, to not get that if he's coming back. But let's be honest, like, it just depends on what it looks like. Right. This isn't a very likely scenario. And again, this is not to knock Carson Wentz, but if Carson Wentz is throwing for, 5 touchdowns and, 400 yards a game, why would you turn it back over?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I think everybody wants a W for the Vikings, 2 out of the next 3 games, hopefully. And then you got the Eagles coming up after that when they get back from over the pond after the bye week. And, that's when the rubber is going to meet the road. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Rob Smith joining me in the Hang and Ron Johnson segment. Coming up next, of course, we got the Daily 3. I want to appreciate Rob for joining me today. Now we got the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes. And for people, that was no editing. My change of clothes was between Sam's commercial read. Like, I am Superman in the booth. There was no editing there. That was real time change clothes. I've been a runway model for the Fashion Fest for the Gophers. That's Children's Hospital. That's November 21st this year. I'm probably gonna still do it because there's nothing Friday night, and the Gophers, I think, on the road on the 22nd. So I should be able to do the Fashion Fest this year again. I changed quick. I mean, I think I've been between like model 20 and then model 40, and I had to change that quick for 20 people to walk across the stage and get from suit to suit. So I can quick change people. But it's time for the Daily 3. Take it away, Sam.
All right, Ron. Gophers lose 24-14 Saturday night, late one against California. I love their quarterback, by the way. That might be a top 5 pick in the 2028 draft.
Sangapulatele.
Incredible. 18-year-old kid. What was your biggest takeaway from the Gophers' loss?
That he's good. Like, Sangapulatele is good. I did the breakdown on the pregame show as well for the Gophers pregame show. I'll probably air that a little bit later this week, just because it was the plays he ran, they did in the game, and sometimes the Gophers just did not understand that that's all they do. He is willing to take. I said down and distance does not matter. It didn't. It could be 2nd and 15. They are not trying to get 7 to 8 yards to make it a manageable 3rd down. They're going for the dagger on 2nd and 15 because they know you're probably sitting back thinking like, all right, watch for the 8-yard route or watch for the. No, he is throwing dimes down the field. He can run a little bit and get out the pocket and throw. He has that weird left-handed off one-leg throw thing he does, and he's legit. The other part about the Gophers, I just feel like they're forcing the Coy Parrish thing a little bit too much sometimes. Like that trick play to him for him to throw the ball. He's no threat to get the ball into the flat. So it's not like everybody's going to be running to him. And then the play type, like the backside route, they're not affected by a throw to Coy Parrish on the far side. So he was supposed to throw it to, I think, the tight end screaming down the field. Those guys, like, it was just too long developing. Like, if he had motioned or something or did something where everybody's like, okay, why is he over here? Then maybe you get away with that. But it was too, like, we know it's coming. I just didn't understand in that moment. Like, you had something going. And even though it was still 14-17, and then he booted the punt. And so, again, when you try to make something happen versus letting the game just come to you, it's one of those things where it ends up hurting, and it did. I think the Gophers are going to bounce back. They'll be fine. They got a bye week this week, but, they got to figure out who they are, because they should have been 3-0 at this point, according to everybody, and they just couldn't get it done. I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, not a good Parrish game. That's the biggest takeaway for me, obviously. Just it didn't seem like he was all there. A couple special teams blunders, and then the offensive mistake, and on defense too got picked on. So all three phases, tough one for Parrish. I felt like Lindsey showed a lot of good things still. And Brockington the wide receiver one. He was really good at that game too, but tough loss. Try to bounce back against Rutgers. Right? Rutgers?
Yeah, Rutgers. And that's the eighth. Speaking of like former Minnesota quarterbacks, you got Jake Browning coming into Minnesota. You got Ethan Kaligmanis coming to Minnesota. His first time back since he left and wasn't too happy with the way he exited. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah. WNBA playoffs are underway, Ron. It's the Valkyries and the Lynx in the best of 3 first round. Game 1 went to the Lynx, 29-point win on Sunday. So great chance that they advance with a win in Game 2. What could hold the Lynx back, Ron, if anything, from winning the WNBA championship?
The Aces and the Liberty. The Dream is pretty good, but I still think, the Liberty and the Aces, like, the one thing about sports, just like when we've seen it, basketball, men's basketball is a little bit different with the 1 seed most times because it's just a dominant force. In women's basketball, it's more of a team game. And, the Aces and the Liberty have proven to be better teams down the stretch. That's the only thing. I think other than that, they're like Defisa Collier, like they are a good team. Their chemistry is good. You got the stud buds. So it seems like everybody is kind of clicking on that team. The only thing is going to come down to that, like the stamina, and can they stay with championship pedigree teams like the Liberty and the Aces? I think that's the only question mark.
Aces have won 17 in a row.
Yeah,
I think that's insane. Last one, Ron.
Let's see, winning streak 10. Yeah, 16.
And then Game 1 of the playoffs.
Game 1. Yeah, they don't count that on this thing that
right.
My notes over here, but yeah, 16 straight wins plus playoff. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy because you think about all the other teams. Like, the Mystics lost 10 straight into that. It's not funny, but it's just like everybody else is like 1 win, 3 losses, 1 loss, 1 win, 3 loss, win 6, win 16. Like, that's what I say. Like, when you think about that for the Aces, that's one of those things where it's just like, we're good. And was it Becky Hammond? Like, it's just the chemistry of that team. They just have it. Like, you just see them together. You see them playing together. You see all their off the court jokes. Like, they have it. And that's when that happens. When you rattle off 16 wins, it's because your team is just together and they know and they trust each other. So, and they have Asia Wilson, and like, she's a star.
Yeah, they're champions. They won it twice in a row a couple of years ago. So they are absolutely a threat. Game 2 coming up later this week. To the NFL we go. Every division has at least one 2-0 team. The Bills, Bengals, Colts, Chargers, Eagles, Packers, Bucks, Niners, Cardinals, Rams. Those are the 10 2-0 teams in the league. Who do you think is the most dangerous right now?
I'd say the Packers and the Bills. Like, the Packers and the Bills both look really good. They don't look like there's any slowing them down right now. The Packers got what they wanted, which is somebody to get after the quarterback, because the rest of that defense always tends to play pretty well. They just never had a true demon on that defensive line. They had guys. Like, if you have to go way back to, like, Matthews and A.J. Hawk and, like, stuff like that. Like, it's been a while since they had a true demon where everybody's like, whoa, okay, this guy, nonstop motor, can get up to the quarterback by himself. That's why the Packers are dangerous, because Jordan Love looks really good. I'm not going to hate on him. The receivers, we were questioning the receivers, like, is he going to have the weapons? Seems like they're making just enough plays to make it work. Like, they look like a dangerous team. And, again, it comes down to the Vikings. Right now, this is just right now, I don't see the Vikings having a chance to beat the Packers right now. Just with Micah Parsons and the fact that he can roam the field and he lines up pretty much everywhere they need him. Like, he'll go inside, he'll go outside. Like, I feel like that Packers game, they're going to pick on Donovan Jackson. I feel like they're going to have Micah Parsons loop a bunch on the inside, because you saw that what game was that he gave havoc? Was that the Commanders game, or I'm trying to think which game I saw him? It was just, he just kept going inside and you saw the guy try to hold him up. But it was the most recent highlight. What was that game? But when you think about that, like that's the highlight in my head of Micah Parsons is them trying to hold him up and having no chance of holding him up. Like that's what makes him such a dangerous weapon. That's what makes him such a viable weapon. And the Bills just have Josh Allen. And everybody joked about Josh Allen getting married, and he's going to throw for 5,000 yards now. It is what it is. Like, it is what it is. The guy is good. He had the huge comeback against the Ravens, and that's what makes them scary. But yeah, it was the Commanders game. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I knew I saw the video, but it was him going inside, trying to pull through, and it was just like they had no way to stop him. They had no chance of stopping him, no way to stop him, and that's why I like the Packers right now. I just don't know what the Vikings don't run the ball well enough. Like it's just right now it just doesn't seem. It feels like the North is going to go to the Packers. And if I'm not mistaken, did Rossini say that? Did she say Packers first? Did she say Packers, Vikings, Bears, Lions?
I think she did.
I feel like she did. I think she said it. I think she said Pack. We'll have to play that clip maybe a couple weeks and see where it's at. But she did say, but she's wrong on the Lions, though. The Lions are ahead of the Bears. She gave the Bears too much credit. That's the one where people are going to say, like, oh, but she said the Lions would be at the bottom. But the season is just early. This is just the second week. They're 1-1. So there's a chance the Bears can win and the Lions lose and they go 1-2 as well. But the Vikings 1-1 as well. It just doesn't look great right now with Carson Wentz. So it's I don't know, Sam. My power rankings right now, I go Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears. Just off gut reaction of the last 2 weeks, that's what it feels like. It feels like Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears. Unfortunately, I don't know. Where do you have it?
Yeah, no, that's correct. That's correct for the NFC North. I remember last year remember the Saints. Remember the Saints scored like 40 points a game in the first 2 weeks, and everybody was talking about Clint Kubiak and Derek Carr and that offense. And didn't they lose like 6 in a row after that, or 7 in a row? So things can change. It can change. Things can change fast. I think we wrote off the Lions way too fast after their bad week 1. Then they hang a 50 burger. They make a statement against the Bears. Bears probably are still in rebuild mode. I think people thought they were going to be improved, maybe not. And then the Vikings are a huge mystery right now. The Packers are steady. The Packers got every, they didn't have a coaching change. They didn't have a quarterback change. And that they look like it. They look like they have some continuity right now. And they added Micah Parsons. So they're plenty dangerous. They might be last year's Lions. That might be a juggernaut that's going to steamroll their way into the playoffs. So we'll have to be guarded on that. Fortunately, I don't think the Vikings play them until middle of the season, Ron. So they got some time to try to get to their level.
Well, that'll do it for today on the Ron Johnson Show. I want to thank Robert Smith for joining us. I want to thank Sam Ekstrom for putting together a great show. And make sure you guys check out our Locked On Sports Minnesota postcast on YouTube following every Twins, Vikings, Gophers, or Wolves game. Luke Inman is broadcasting live with team experts like myself for the Gophers. And never miss a postcast by subscribing to Locked On Sports Minnesota on YouTube, because this Gophers one, it's going to be a lot of quarterback talk. You got Drake Lindsey, who's PJ Fleck's up-and-coming incumbent star, and you got Ethan Kaligmanis, who feels like the Gophers just did not trust in him. It's going to be a good one on Saturday. Make sure you guys don't miss that postcast. I'm Ron Johnson at Sam X. I want to thank you guys. Have a great Tuesday.